Ladies and gentlemen, it is finally time for me to talk about Relic Delta in a dedicated video. My thoughts on the negatives, acknowledging the problems that they're trying to solve, and even some positives from it, but we're going to start with the negatives. First of all, I'm only covering it now because I'm not sure why, but I wasn't included on the playtest. I wasn't selected. I think there's plenty of others where I think, it made sense. But then when I look at who got selected, I don't know why it don't make sense. And I didn't want to make a video right away because I actually was kind of hurt by not getting selected. Once I realized, I was like, oh, you're in it, you're in it, you're in it. Oh, okay, I guess I'm not in it. And I wanted to digest it. I wanted to get more information because otherwise all I'd be doing is reaction videos on other YouTubers' videos, which I'm not big on. However, I don't normally ask for subs, but if the reason I didn't get in it is because I don't have 20,000 or I'm not close enough to 20,000 or just I don't have enough, then I'd like to change that. So if you sub, I greatly appreciate it. If you watch this channel, you know I don't usually ask for subs. I don't say, like and subscribe, guys, let's go. I don't care about likes, and generally I don't really care that much about subs, but let's get over 20,000. Thank you. Greatly appreciated. So first of all, let's talk about the negatives. It's pretty obvious negatives, and let me just weigh in on it. First, I didn't make a video, but on Arnold's first video about it, I did have one of the highest liked comments. If that damage reduction/increase is implemented, I think I'm gonna barf. And I really had a negative reaction to seeing this, and I still think it's quite negative. However, what made me want to barf wasn't as much doing more damage as it was giving out more damage. So this down here is the amount of damage that a high relic character will do at an increased level to a lower relic character. And this is what the damage penalty will be for those lower relic characters. So 95% is comical. It's laughably bad. 95% increase is basically double damage. That is, to put it in perspective, that's a 2 times multiplier. You're doing 2 times more damage than you would have. Instead of taking 2 attacks to do that amount of damage, you're doing it in 1. Minus 95% damage is a 20 times multiplier. You're doing 5% of the damage you would before. You will have to do the same hit 20 times in order to do the same damage you were before. That is insanity. That is terrible. And what I was thinking is, everyone's thinking these amounts are drastic. I would have thought, and what I would have told CG if I was part of the playtest, you make the relic, you don't add this. So what they did that I don't like, they added this extra level. So, it's a maximum 5 difference that we're looking at. But then they added something extra onto it, 200% extra damage. So that's triple damage. That is bad. I don't like that. What I was thinking is you could keep it around the 95%, but make it like an 8 relic difference. And then you go to, like 80, 70, 60 until the bottom of just 10% per difference. I think might make more sense for dealing damage. For the damage you dole out, absolutely should never, ever get above a 50% penalty. So that means if you're down right now, they kind of got closer to that. So if you're down 4 relics, you do half the damage. I understand that to some degree, and there's a lot of matchups where you could still win out. The example going around in Arnold's first video is Phoenix versus Riva. You don't do a lot of damage, but you completely lock them down. You can still completely lock them down. It's just if it was minus 95% damage, you never get there. Now it could be, you're doing 1/3 of the damage, but still, that's only a 3 times multiplier. You have to do 3 hits in order to do the damage you were going to do before with 1, whereas 95%, it's 20. It's the numbers here they're not completely intuitive unless you just start diving into it and thinking about it. This is the wrong direction, but adding the -5 difference, that is the right direction. I would say for -5 or -6, that's where you have the 50%. Now, if it's -1, -10% damage, that could be like a modding difference. That is not going to be entirely noticeable. In -2, so this is a huge improvement. So, for most of the game, they're adding Relic 10, I'll talk about that, but even the biggest whales right now have a full Relic 9 roster. If you just have Relic 7, you're dealing with not that great a difference. You're dealing 17% less damage, you're taking 20. That's not horrible, but it's just at the ends, and I think what we intuitively think is My entire roster is low relics, and the entire team I'm facing is high relics. It won't be like that, but this is still the wrong direction to still have it be 1/3 of the damage and the relic difference being 5. I think if they want to do this, they should make it like a 7 relic difference for that. But honestly, I think the max should be like minus 50%. Going in the right direction-ish with damage reduction, but doing triple damage for 5 relic difference is kind of crazy. Like, I still think that's quite bad. Another negative is they're essentially erasing a lot of the goodwill and benefit to the earlier update they had where you can get to relics at 4 stars. And where I've been very critical of Capital Games in the past, on that change, I was over the moon. I just super stoked about it. And I still am. It's still great, but it lessens that goodwill a bit from that. And in PvP, these characters are still widely useless. This is my main account. I still don't use these really in PvP, like in Grand Arena. I use them a little bit in a TW, which is coming out soon. But for the most part, they're still not PvP juggernauts for me. What's nice, you're still gonna get use out of them in PvE, and I'll talk about that in a little later. But it really just brings them back to a point. So, like, if I'm at Relic, or 5 stars, and I have a max of Relic 3, and I'm facing, like, Relic 7 characters, they're still getting stomped on like I would with the Gear 11, basically. Not quite as bad. It's not as bad as a Gear 11 versus, like, a Relic character, but it's kind of bad. It's also bad for punching up, which I think is the biggest problem everyone has with this. However, most of the game is not as much of a punch-up, is not full of punch-up players. There's not as many. I'm trying to find my small account on here. Where is it? Go Tanks. There it is. So my Go Tanks account, I released my season finale this morning. I was in Chromium. I got squished all the way up to Iridium 1 because I won every single battle in Chromium. And I don't have an insanely high Relic setup. I don't usually bring people really high. You know, I got a decent amount of Relic 7s, actually, so it's not too bad. But there's a lot of characters I leave at Relic 3 that are absolutely going to be way worse given this. Yeah, Bam's probably fine. Savage, way worse. Because he both needs to take hits, and he's a damage dealer. Mace Windu, way worse. Revan, the biggest downside is him taking more damage. Yoda is worse. He's not going to do much damage, but, like, that's an area that's an opportunity for new strategy. That increases the value of stuff like Foresight greatly. So if you could just avoid being hit, like Yoda can avoid getting hit, and he might take on more of a support role, supporting my Jedi Knight Luke. Palpatine's going to be a wet noodle. Traya needs to get bumped up. Nihilus is fine for the most part. Like, he needs to be able to take the hits, but you don't care about his damage. He'll still annihilate someone. Rev and Malak, I'm getting them R9 eventually anyway for Leviathan, sooner than later. And then most of the rest of my roster is Relic 5 or higher, and I'm not fighting that many Relic 9s in this account, so it's not going to be as horrible as it might seem, but it will be worse, and it's going to require a different type of strategy. But for most people that aren't, like, as critical of thinkers, it's just going to be kind of a strain, so that's definitely a negative. Now, let's talk about the problem they're trying to solve, or problems with Relic Delta, and why some of these problems are actual problems that do need to get solved, and you can't just ignore them. I think this is a great post. I think this is a phenomenal post. There's a lot of comments saying, oh, it's too long. Oh, I don't like Relic Delta. Just read it. Like, it does give good explanation. This is what I want from them. I want them to explain in full what they're thinking, and not just dump it on us and seem just completely tone deaf. Like, I mean, they seem like that with adding extra damage for, like, the 5 Relic difference, like 200%. Like, that is kind of crazy, but this is a problem they need to solve. So first of all, Relic 9, absolutely underwhelming. Like, I made a video lately or a few weeks ago about who to take to Relic 9, and they kind of see all this. They know we talk about you just want the requirement characters, you get some tanks, Galactic Legends. but you're not really worried about getting Relic 9, and you can, like, I faced on my main account one of the largest, or the largest, player in the world whose entire roster was Relic 9, and I lost by 10 points in Grand Arena, and I didn't, like, what I cared about wasn't the Relic 9, it was the Datacrons and his mods, and the comps, and just, like, having characters that I didn't have. It wasn't the Relic 9, so it's not incentivized to actually build up, and then it's just, yeah, it is just underwhelming. And then if you don't do anything, this statement is not absolutely true. So, like, let's say everyone will eventually get their roster to all Relic 9. That's only true for Super Whales. On my main account, which has not really had a meaningful farming decision to make in a long time, I still only have like 30 between 30 and 40 Relic 9. So, like, and for the vast majority of the game, this seems like this is basically impossible. It will never get to the point where your whole roster is Relic 9. But in principle, if the game lasted 30 years and people played it 30 years, yeah, I guess they'd eventually get there. Or if the game stopped being live service and people just played anyway offline, yeah, I guess eventually you get to all R9. But that's not really the point. You need a reason to chase and to build up. And I see that, I understand this nowhere more than on my main account. I made my GoTanks account at the beginning of 2024 because I was just entirely bored with farming decisions. I had no meaningful decisions to make. I just go for the new character. If I get a Relic 9 on someone, I'm like, I guess. I did recently more raid stuff, but it's like I don't really care if I take Dash Rendar from Relic 8 to Relic 9. But this will add a level of incentive and strategy to my main account that hasn't been there in a long time. So, like, Relics, like, I've been moving towards a, baseline Relic 7 roster for a long time, but I am not enthusiastic about it. It's just like, okay, I mean, it's like, whatever, I don't have that much else to do, so might as well do it. So that is an actual problem. You need somewhere to go. You need somewhere to build up besides getting new characters, because I don't like what they've done. I hope this means they can slow down character releases. If they do that, that will definitely be a positive, because I'm tired of getting flooded with characters. This current era with, like, the ships and stuff, that's actually fine. That's a little bit better, and then a little bit more of a break. It's just too many new characters, but that's the only option they've had to actually get some income. And for endgame whales, that's the only thing to pick up. And then endgame free players, that's the only thing for us to work on. So that can potentially add a layer of strategy to work on. Next, they're adding R10. But I agree that it wouldn't be enough on its own, because players don't care about Relic 9 unless they add something insane to Relic 10, like 100 speed. It's just not really worth it. And then if it is crazy high, like a super amazing boost, then it's still kind of the same problem as Relic Delta. Like, if only these super whales are getting any volume of Relic 10, they're just stomping on people below them. But there is a huge point that it's been over 4 years since Relic 9 came into the game. And that is a longer amount of time between now and when Relic 9 got introduced to the game than when the game was made and relics in general were introduced. So the difference between a max development level of Gear 8 and Relic 7 is the same amount of time that the max level went from Relic 9 and then no change. So think about that. Gear 8 compared to Gear 7 versus like a Relic 9 compared to Relic 10. It is definitely time for that to happen. And like I said, there's full R9 rosters out there, and they need something to develop. But yeah, I didn't realize it had been that long of a time. That is an insane amount of time in between development levels. And I just kept thinking, like, for the past 2 years or so, I've maintained the thought, like, if they bring in Relic 10, that's fine. I expected it a long time ago, because between Relic 8 and Relic 9, it was like a year or like less than a year. It wasn't that long but after they released Relic 8 that they brought in Relic 9. And I think their mistake was making it too skewered for tanks, and just, I mean, it's not that impactful. The damage increase from Relic 8 to Relic 9 is reduced for many characters compared to Relic 7 to Relic 8, so really just, I think that was definitely a design mistake there. And then one potential solution that they listed but didn't go with, and I'm glad, is like changing stats on existing relic levels. Like, oh, if you give 50 mastery, 100 speed. They're right on this. I think that would have been bad because I specifically chose every relic 9 with a purpose, and like if that purpose is circumvented, then it's like I should have chosen a different character. So like if they had speed, I'd add a character where it's important to have speed instead of Relic 9 Malicos, because Relic 9 Malicos, he didn't give as much damage, and I don't need him going fast on a Seer team because I don't want to go before the entire other team, because Seer's team gets boosted from not doing that. And it would just change who the choice would be or who to go to. And unless they refund everyone all their Relic 9s, that's like just I would have a big problem with that. That wouldn't be cool. And refunding Relic 9s, like all of them, that would be a problem too, because now they have Relic 9 requirements for characters. So it would be like you unlocked Galactic Legend Ahsoka, and then you just don't reapply Relic 9 on your Ahsoka Fulcrum, and then it's just unfair to players that came in after that, because they're gonna have to keep that Relic 9 on their Ahsoka Fulcrum, and maybe characters they don't want. So that makes total sense. So ultimately, given the options they came up with, and I haven't heard too many like crazy good options otherwise, Relic Delta does seem better than like doing nothing, because they need the game to move forward, not just so that they can make money, but so it can be compelling to everybody. And then like adding this to like just the higher relic levels, I do agree that wouldn't make as much sense, because at that point you're only getting penalized like once you get to Relic 7, so is it like better to stay at Relic 6 because you won't get a damage penalty? And that, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense too. So I see what they're saying about it working. So scalability is big in the game. And I'm glad they didn't start adding new gear levels. I'm glad we don't have gear 14, because it was just a lot, like I could anticipate being a lot harder to get gear 14 than a bunch of different relics. The relic 1 through 9, whatever, every character requires the exact same inputs, and then the increase in stat is based on like their mastery and then some general level increases. So I agree that it would be worse to keep adding gear levels, because gear levels are specific stat levels on each of them, and you'd really have to, it would be a lot of work and choice to make to actually upgrade things. So I mean, I guess I don't like the numbers. Like the worst thing about it is those numbers. Like these are too high. We need this lower, but in principle, I actually agree with it. It's just 200%, no, shouldn't be in there. Like maybe max 50% increase, like even on a 4 relic difference, that would be still very impactful. Like I don't think you need this enormous spread, but I don't agree with the sentiment going around that the fact that we want a system in place for differentials in relics, that is an added incentive to relic characters, and it won't only work against you, it can work for you. Like there will be strategy to do for it. For instance, damage dealing characters with an AoE, that is going to be super valuable. So for instance, Starkiller. I have a Relic 9 Starkiller on my main account, and I didn't care too much about it, but I could go in there with a single basic and just, I don't know, clear out waves. So if, and on my small account, I have a Relic 8 Starkiller, so that he can take advantage of that differential as well as a key character. Doing AoEs, damage dealer, that's important. I think the least important characters will be like pure support types, like Shakti. She might take less damage, is helpful, but she doesn't care about the damage she's dealing, and her support function is not diminished at all. All that said, I know, yeah, probably not popular. There's some big things they need to fix before this is any level of helpful to smaller players and mid-game players. I'm gonna start clicking on a few of these like Carbonite characters at random. This shouldn't happen. This David Low Pan, he's in Carbonite, has 12 million GP, and has like so many Galactic Legends. What I would propose, and what I suggest if I was in a playtest, is you need to change up leagues and I don't want them to limit how high you can climb as a player. Like on my small account, my GoDings account, I would be upset if I couldn't climb out of Chromium. However, they need to add GP floors, or like GP limits on leagues. For instance, Once you hit 3 or 4, or maybe even 5 million, you can't be in Carbonite anymore. You go up to Bronzium, and then if you keep losing and you suck so bad, you fall to Bronzium 5, and that's where you stay until you hit the next cap of, like, you can't be over 7 or 8 million in Bronzium. Then you have to go to Chromium. And then by the time... And then there's a limit on Chromium. You can't be 10 million or above. And then at that point, I would remove it for Rhodium. Like, I think you could be infinite GP in a Rhodium and then Kyber. But I think they really need to gate how big you can be in these lower leagues. Because it's just not fun for a new player experience. Like, Grand Arena is a huge integral game mode. One of the most central game modes. And probably my favorite. And if you just can't have a meaningful experience in it, as a new player, like, I'm an experienced player. I made a new account. I knew my way around things. And at first in Carbonite, there was still literally nothing I could do. And I only managed to climb up because I have all that knowledge about the game already. But if you're a brand new player, you're trying to decide whether you like this game or not, like, it's absolutely defeating to just face a player like that. It's insane. So they need to remove... or, like, limit who can be in what league, so this doesn't happen. And I know that rewards and crystals are part of it, but, like, are you really worried about giving someone 125 crystals a day in Chromium or 100? Like, is it that bad that a player will get 100 a day in Bronzium? Well, Bronzium 5 is really a thing, so less, instead of, like, the tiny amount they get in Carbonite. At this point, just let them have a little bit of crystals each day. If they suck and they're not going to win anyway. If they couldn't win in Carbonite or Bronzium, they probably can't win in Chromium. So really big changes need to happen to Grand Arena. And then in TW, I mean, sandbagging is like just an accepted thing now for a lot of guilds. They just say, okay, we can't win at our current level. Let's sandbag and get lower. Because the max rewards are at like 380 million. And my main account's GP 670 million. Relic 9 came into the game and they added droid brains to TW when we were right at 300. Like, we got to 300 million, or we were right around 300 million. Now we're almost 700 million. It has been quite a long time since Relic 9 came in. Now for some of the good things that are coming with this. One, so I think this seems just for new characters. But they're saying you will be progressing through gear tiers and lower relic levels without needing to use gear or relic materials. Well, it's hard for me to imagine how they're doing that unless they're just giving it to you, like giving you a new character at like Relic 3. And then maybe you just have to farm their shards or something, or get them at Relic 2, which frees up those resources to be spent on older characters. So I think that means old characters still need all the gear and relic materials, but if you don't need those for new characters, that is basically... the need stops here. Like, at this point in time, any new characters, you're not going to need this stuff. So it all goes to the existing characters. That could be a stopgap in, like, the bottlenecks of newer characters. And that also might change the math of, like, okay, new characters, if you're a new player, don't go for them. Only go for the old characters. I don't know, that might change that up. Also, both droid brains and higher level signal data. I don't know if that just means dark blue or if it's dark blue and green and then excludes the light blue. Will be added as outputs from Scavenger. That's good. On my main account, I need signal data. Like, I don't need as many relic materials. I'm starving for signal data. And I need droid brains. So that is good. That is good for an in-game free-to-play standpoint. I'm glad they're doing that because this... Relic Delta, that's like a whole landscape change, and whenever the landscape changes, there are some benefits you didn't contemplate. Like, if you can get up higher to the level, if you can reach a certain power level easier, it does benefit you in some ways. The whole game is not PvP. There's PvE, so it's gonna be easier to win stuff in TB, because they don't have relic levels in TB. It's just, they say, like, level 95 or something. That'll be easier. Raids, I don't know, maybe that'll be easier. And Conquest, they did say they're going to be changing Conquest. So the only source I have for this is again, because I'm not part of the playtest, in Arnold's video. So there were already no relics in easy, and then normal it's max relic 3, so you won't even have a 4 or 5 relic difference. And then hard difficulty, from sector 2 to 5 being relic 5, even if they change the stats, That's not overly punishing you for having like Relic 3s or Relic 5s on your roster. It's like even footing. And then if you have like, on my small account, I have plenty of Relic 7s and Relic 8s. That will make them better against it. So those are a couple little benefits to having, to lifting the tide a little bit at the bottom that you might not be thinking about. And while I'm not going to say, like, I'm happy about Relic 10, like, just from the way this game works, I'm just shocked they didn't have it sooner. I don't want Relic 10, but I absolutely just understand it and accept it because I was ready for it a long time ago. The last good things, so I just wanted to say that because I'm not saying I think Relic 10 is good. But what is good, there will be a new game mode, new events, an update to era-related journey guide events, that will ensure all players get to use new characters right away for valuable rewards. That is good. I mean, on my little account, I do engage in the marquee battles to get, like, you know, a couple mods, like 2 pieces of gear here and there. If they sweeten that pot even more, that makes all players excited for new characters. With the change in the era system and the new relics, I went from 0 interest, complete apathy in new characters to, oh, okay, that's interesting. I'll engage with this. I'll get some rewards on my main account. I'll actually relic them. So the more they can add to that deepens the game experience, and that is good. New game mode. I mean, do I want a new conquest? No, but I want something that is, you know, balanced. I can actually utilize my team in some way and get valuable rewards. I do really want that. The game needs more game modes, or needs updates to game modes. More than needing new game modes, they do need to fix Grand Arena matchmaking. Because right now, I've said in the past, it's not matchmaking. It's just whatever number you have, you're right next to someone else, you play them. They need to add something to alleviate the leagues. They need to fix TW matchmaking. All that does need to happen. And while you're at it, make something valuable in Squad Arena. It's still here. Just give us some kind of, like, reward for it. Like, beyond this, just add something in here. Add some, like, mod slicing materials or something to incentivize people to climb a little bit. Or give us a reward for winning a single battle. Like, I don't really do my Squad Arena battle. So, like, there's areas to fix, before, like, more than we need new game modes, but we do need new game modes for the health of the game. And in closing thoughts, I moved over to my GoTank account, the small account, to talk about this. Whatever there's been a big landscape shift in this game, which I'd include Datacrons in that, I'd include Relics, small extent Gear 13, adding Grand Arena as a landscape shift, adding TV, adding Conquest. Whenever there is a major landscape shift in the game, I have always prided myself on finding a way around it or exploiting it to my advantage. Entirely for free. So I don't spend this money on this game. See, this is not even, I didn't even buy the Hyperdrive bundle. But I've been climbing a lot, 5.5 million. I'm in Erodium now. Back in 2019. So I started playing this game again after quitting. I was a day one player, I quit, started again in 2019. They introduced Relics about 6 months after I started my account, and to that point, I was actually getting right around this rank. I don't care about the Squad Arena right now. But I was getting around, like, top 50, and crystals were in Squad Arena back then, and I was only getting 50 crystals a day. When Relics came out, there was just pandemonium, people saying it's the end of the game's gonna die, it's just for whales, these power levels are insane, like, who can deal with this? My Gear 12 characters can't beat Relic 7 characters. Instead of just whining about it, I was actually really happy about the chance to exploit that difference. And again, also interesting that there's these characters showing right when I pull this up. My first Relic character ever was Grandmaster Yoda, and everyone else, so it was, the meta was Darth Revan. Darth Revan and Malik were the newest characters. Only the whales had them on my Squad Arena shard. And the second meta, the off meta, was Jedi Revan, because we had them by then. Or I almost had Jedi Revan. But I had a Bastille team because I was working for Jedi Revan. The first Relic character that I applied or built up was Yoda, because he was my big damage dealer. I did Yoda, and then second I did Jolie, and I leveraged that Bastille team to climb all the way into the top 20. So I started getting 100 shards a day, or like whatever it was. And then when I unlocked Revan, I had a Gear 12 Revan, Relic Yoda, Relic Jolie, gear 9 General Kenobi and like a weak Hoda or something, I figured out how to climb all the way to 1 against these Darth Revan's. So in the early days of landscape shifts, you need to identify where the value is shifted, and exploit it. Similarly, when Datacrons came around, that was like right before I started my channel, I used them to my advantage. So they were decried I mean, it was one of those unpopular releases ever because they had that leak, and leading up to it, everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's terrible. But that's because I showed placeholder. I swear it's because I showed placeholder elements as the cost. So like instead of saying, oh, you need this piece and this piece, they had like a picture of relic scraps. So it was like, everyone was like, oh no, I'm not using my relic scraps on something temporary. It's temporary, it's going away. I used Datacrons. I went from like a top 1,000 player on my main account to routinely top 500, and even I climbed into the top 100 a couple times because I leveraged Datacrons and used them. I just try to think through it. And now that the landscape is kind of evened out with Datacrons, there's like a few good ones everyone goes for every season or every set, and then it all's kind of a wash. But take advantage of landscape changes in the game. Identify where you're going to benefit. Identify where you don't need to worry about pouring tons of extra relic materials. And leverage the increased income. If I can scavenge for signal data, I'll be happy about that. If I can scavenge for droid brains, that'll greatly increase my income. I don't care about that much on this account because everything else required for Relic 9 takes so long. I just have enough droid brains. But yeah, so that's my last statement. Even if you hate it, you think it sucks, and I do think for most players, it will be negative. It'll be hard to deal with. Just take advantage of it. Try to exploit it the best you can, and do it for free if you can. All right, that's going to be it for me. Thanks so much. Happy to hear your thoughts. Don't come for me with pitchforks, and let's get to those 20,000 subs. All right, thanks. Bye.